Now, there was a lot of grassroots energy and enthusiasm, and as Alan said, young people. I saw young people in Rockford, where I live, talking about Obama. I saw them, carrying signs. I saw them doing things. And it was the first time I had seen that in a very, very long time, since the Civil Rights Movement, which I worked in. And I want to know, how can this energy be captured now? What needs to be done to capture the energy that was generated? How should grassroots people be channeling their energies and their enthusiasm? How do they stay enthused themselves? Clearly, this group is enthused because you're here this early in the morning. But there are a lot of people who are not quite as involved. They read the paper, they see things, and they're not sure. Is this change really going to impact their lives? So what needs to be done to capture the energy, channel energy, and convince people that change is really, really possible? Ta-da!
Oh, yeah. Well. That's easy. Huh?
I'll start. I think, yeah, that's the big question. I think the answer's in this room. I think you all are going to have the answer to that. I mean, you are the people who've come this morning early on a beautiful day, and I think that's what the campaign was about. I mean, we can share our thoughts. I'll share a little bit, but I think that is the big question. I think that's what Organizing for America is trying to be. I mean, it is unprecedented for a campaign essentially to keep going, which is what this is about. And I think again, the reason for that is because of what you all have said you want to do. I mean, the energy that says we don't want to stop. And so I think that's a great question for all of you to ask during the breakout sessions as well. What is it that's going to keep people engaged? What's going to get more people engaged? What's going to get more people to show up? There are the priorities of health, education, and energy, and then beyond that, again, I'll bring up the issue of poverty. I think that would get people excited to figure out what can we do, how do we put that at the top of the agenda? It's a moral issue. As Marshall said, all these social movements have been driven by moral causes, and especially in this economic time. My good friend Jeffrey Canada, who runs the Harlem Children's Zone, talks about the old poor and the new poor. Now, the old poor are people who've been entrenched in poverty for literally decades, and we have to figure that out. But the new poor are people all of us know, people who never expected to lose their jobs or lose their homes or lose their life savings, which has happened in this country, and it's devastating. But because of that, I think there's an opening now to have a discussion about this issue in our country that'll be different. Everybody, even the 90% of us that are still lucky to be working, are nervous about will we be working 6 months from now or a year from now. And so I think people are ready to have that kind of conversation. So I put that on the table. But I think the second thing is, this is extraordinary to have this kind of turnout. And I think that's a great question for the breakouts, is how do we tap this energy so that the next meeting, there are twice as many people here. And the meeting after that, there are twice as many after that.
I have a couple of things to say. One, I think for me, in order to keep this sort of like energy going, I think we need to sort of create the space as we have it today. But also we need to create for this space for the young people and help them also to be the ones driving that agenda in those type of meetings. That's one thing that I would say. And the second thing is like, we need to walk the walk. I mean, we're saying that this is a new era, this is a new, we're changing the debate, we need to change the debate. And we need to sort of figure out what the debate is and really sort of begin this new paradigm. Otherwise, if we remain sort of in this old way of doing things, basically it's going to be hard to keep people engaged, people who came together because hopes and change. The other piece is like to be in this room and learn how to disagree. I've seen for many years in the progressive movement that we sort of like have a hard time disagreeing. And I wanted to sort of like put that out there as we move forward, that would also help in terms of like engaging people, because we all have different perspectives and we need to sort of figure out how create that consensus with those different perspectives.
the question may not be how to keep people involved, but what is so urgent that it demands doing. And where is the hope that we can draw on, that we can make a difference in doing it? I mean, I think it's a different question. And I think if we focus on that question, what is the fierce urgency of now before us now? And then the second question is, how can we focus common effort? In other words, what can we work on together? How do we translate these aspirations into real concrete objectives we could achieve? You know, where it isn't just infinite argument about policy refinement, but rather, and again, I want to come back to that challenge. What would it mean to translate change into reality here in Massachusetts? What is the implications of the budget and the stimulus package? What would that mean? What difference could that make in the daily lives of people? The climate change challenge, the immigration challenge, which is coming up big time. And I want to put just a little pitch in terms of poverty, Alan, for passage of labor law reform, because strengthening unions would be the best poverty solution. Energy we put in trying to find alternatives to unions as a way of solving the problems of poverty, I think we may be misdirecting our energy and effort. There is a real need there that perhaps in this administration there could be an opportunity. But I don't mean to just go down a set of issues, but I would really ask myself, what is so urgent I can't deny it? I got to, and what can we perceive as a community as so urgent that we can't deny it? Let's focus on trying to tackle some of those challenges here.
I also wanted to say that there's been some talk about getting people more engaged locally, and getting people more engaged locally. And I think that that's something that I've noticed that's come out of the campaign. I've met a lot of people who got involved in this campaign, and they never knew what was going on in their own communities or at the state level, and they're starting to take an interest. And I think it's the more we can, I think, start drawing people into and educating them about not just the national issues and Barack Obama's agenda, but those same people, you know, live in a community where there are problems that they may not know have existed until they got involved in this campaign. So I think keeping people educated and involved at a local level as well is really important. And I also would say that another way that we can keep more people engaged, and I already see this happening after the Obama campaign, is making people understand that you can run for office, that we don't all have to work for candidates, we can be candidates, and we can be leaders. And I think I've noticed some direction in that, and I see a lot of people who never ever thought they would run for office starting to think about doing it, and I think that's really important. So that's another way that I hope people will stay engaged.
Well, I know there's a second panel that has to come up, and we're running a little late right now. I want to thank all the panelists for their contributions. I hope you heard all the points of view. A lot of them were the same, but there were some other things to think about that they gave you, and I hope you'll listen. Thank you.